We begin tonight in Kwara State, where all the 5 suspects in the Offa bank robbery case have been found guilty of all the charges and sentenced to death by hanging. Now, it took 6 years before the case could be determined. TVC's Ibrahim Alege has details.
On the 5th of April 2018, daredevil armed robbers attacked the Offa Divisional Police Headquarters before robbing 5 banks. In the process, policemen and civilians numbering about 30 were killed, while millions of naira were equally carted away. 6 suspects, a policeman, Michael Adiko, Ayuade Akiniboson, Aziz Salaudin, Niji Ogundiran, Ibikunle Ogunleye, and Adeola Abraham, were arrested in connection with the bloody bank robbery. Michael Adiko died in police custody, while the remaining 5 pleaded not guilty, claiming alibi when the trial commenced in November 2018. Delivering judgment, Justice Haleema Salman found them guilty of all the counts charged and sentenced them accordingly. The court held that the 5 suspects have no license to carry arms and sentenced them to 3 years imprisonment. On culpable homicide and armed robbery, the court found them guilty and sentenced them to death by hanging.
Armed robbery, murder, that is culpable homicide punishable with death, and unlawful possession of firearm. So those are the 3 basic things. And apart from the conviction, the sentence was also pronounced, and the maximum sentence that the court can pronounce on those 2 capital offenses are the death. They carried death sentence by hanging.
The lead defense counsel, Matthias Emiribe, was not in court, but one of the defense counsel said the judgment was expected and will be appealed.
I am not surprised, and likewise my principal counsel is not in surprise as regards to the judgment of today.
So what will be the next line of action?
Of course, in line with the AG or your state against Bilo, it's an automatic appeal. It's an automatic appeal, and definitely it's going to stay. So I think it's one of those things that Mr. Emiribe have started doing, comparing the record and whatever, so that at least we move to the upstairs.
The suspects had been standing trial since November 2018.
It's been 6 years of intense legal battle over this case, and at the end of the day, these suspects have been sentenced to death by hanging. But this may not be the end of it all, as the defense is willing to appeal the judgment. Ibrahim Alege, TVC News, Ilorin.
A legal practitioner, Dotun Hassan, joins me on the news for more update. He joins me virtually. Good to have you join us.
Well, good evening. It's a pleasure to be on your program.
So, what is the implication of this particular judgment, and is it a good signal that would deter criminal elements?
Well, we must acknowledge the fact that this is highly detrimental to our state of affairs when we look at our society filled with crimes. And judgment of this magnitude are deterrent to serve to intending criminals or criminals who find robbery as a trade. And we, as a people, we need to equally begin to guide the society and campaign against crime. If you look at this crime, we lost policemen, we lost civilians numbering over 30. And the unfortunate situation is the fact that it's quite unfortunate and demeaning to see the fact that in as much as they have legal right to an appeal, I cry in our society, in as much as we are all lawyers, and there are some certain situations whereby we need to look at the social intent of when criminals are found guilty based on prima facie evidence. And this crime committed, if you remember that day, it was a black day in Kwara State. So for whatever reason that this judgment have achieved, I didn't even expect anyone to be championing a cause of appeal. Definitely it's part of their right. But this, as in a society that we are today, that crimes have now become the order of the day, in terms of robbery, in terms of other criminal elements that have brought the society to its knees. So
But if I may quickly come in here, Mr. Hassan, because you're talking about, the appeal and all, but even for those who live in that community, I was speaking to one of the elders of the community earlier, and we're talking about the idea of, justice being delayed and justice being denied. 6 years after, would you say that it's been worth it when you look at, the rigors this particular case has gone through, and the toll it must have taken on those who live in that community?
Well, it's a tortuous journey and a long walk to freedom for the people there. The judgment might not have revived the lost souls. It might not have gotten them the ultimate of reviving those that were dead, or the monies that were stolen. But the height of it is the fact that 6 years is a torturous mental torture to the victims, especially those whose family died in the course of that robbery. What I want to look at is the fact that if there is a means that our judiciary can review the timeline of criminal cases to not less than 180 days, just like the way we always treat the issue of electoral tribunal. If we can really get criminal cases resolved in time, because most of the times evidences might have been destroyed, destructed, or might not even be more tenable when you talk about incidents of this nature. If not for the magnitude of death, this set of criminals would have escaped justice.
Mr. Hassan, I have just like a minute left. That's why I'm jumping in, because I wouldn't want you to go without talking about this particular issue. This has now raised the issue of, brought up the issue of death by hanging, and people are saying perhaps maybe that should be reviewed. But looking at the gravity of the crime, was this sentence appropriate?
To me, death by hanging is just easy death for them. They should also be taken through that torturous pain. In fact, if any other means is available to make these people go down and end the same and high for an high, to me, death by hanging is part of the punitive measures. But there's more that. It is very important the governor sign it immediately. You can be sentenced and still be granted until the governor of that state signs. So what we want to implore that this should not even take long for the governor to sign. And so that the deterrent and what we intend to achieve for the society
will not be lost in the process.
Justified society and fairness and justice to be manifestly seen to be done. For both the victims.
We do have to leave it there. My apologies. I mean, this is a very sensitive case. I know there's a lot to talk about, but thank you so much for your time. Dr. Hassan, legal practitioner.